Happy Christmas, everybody. Well, it's Tuesday today, day after Boxing Day. I thought I'd come into work because I was getting a little bit at home. And I wanted to do a nice lesson for you all. Demo. So anyway, I'm in the garage now to prepare a panel. First things first, you've got to get something to paint on. There we are. So I'm going to get 2 panels ready. Time to get back at it. So here goes. Cheers. So now ready to start painting. Found a scene. One thing I am going to do is, although I've cropped it and I've got it roughly right, there are a few things that I want to change. For example, the bank at the front is a bit like a wedge of cheese, so I want to just change that a little bit, and perhaps it's a little bit too prominent, a little bit too big. So I'm going to lower the waterline a little bit, and I'm going to increase the height of the trees so the trees still almost reach the top of the photograph. The waterline will be a bit lower, so you're making more of a feature of those trees there. And I'm going to introduce some hillsides just in the background beyond that tree there, and make a little bit more of a feature of the water as well. So let's get going. Now, a lot of people are asking or saying, do they need to block in acrylic? Well, no, you don't have to block in acrylic. The only reason I block in acrylic is so that I can get the pictures done quicker. It is, after all, for me, my job, and you know, productivity, getting pictures finished on time and what have you is obviously the aim of the game for me. But if you're not in a hurry to paint a picture, then I would suggest you block it in oil and let that dry before you do the next layer. That's what I would do. In fact, that is what I used to do when I was painting bigger paintings that didn't need to be finished quite so quickly. So I would always encourage you, if you've got time, to just use oil. Okay, so I'm making the hillside up in the distance here. I haven't got any reference, so I'm not 100% sure really what the colours would look like, although I've got a fairly good idea because I've done it about 1,000,000 times before. So really I'm not changing the tone of the, you know, I'm sort of maintaining that sort of level of green, and I'm just it's the same sort of temperature, but it's a bit more pastel. I'm just adding a bit more white to it, so the values are similar. And you know, if it's not right, once we get to a point where I start adding oil, then I can change it then. It's not a problem, but let's just not worry too much about it and get that put in there. Now, moving on to these trees here, I'm not gonna, I mean, you've got so many variations of colour in here, and you've got shadows and things, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to do a basic, a general sort of colour. So imagine if you were to squint your eyes at the photograph, you know, you don't see all the definition, and I'm just going to do it roughly right. That's probably on the lighter side. I can add a little bit of that ivory black. and it's probably a touch warmer, but that's never such a bad thing either. So get the whole thing done now.
You down, and I know that I was not always around. I made you feel alone. You spent most of your nights just sitting on your own. I should have done so much more, like giving you the things you asked me for. And I know I was wrong. What I try to tell you with my song, tell you with my song. What if I said I'm sorry? What if I'd make a scene? Wouldn't that make you mine again? You're all I'll ever need. Didn't I make you laugh? Didn't I make you smile? Didn't I make you feel like you were happy for a while? I know that I've done so many things that let you down, but I hope that you give me one more chance to make you mine. When I close my eyes, you know that you're the only thing I see, and it makes me cry to think that you are no longer with me.
Right, so now we've got that area of trees in. I'm going to put these trees in here, and there's not a massive variation in colour between these trees that are sort of more in the foreground here and these middle ground trees. I would say they're slightly lighter, so that is what we're going to do, just to sort of pick it apart a little bit so that you can see it standing in front of it. That's probably not a million miles out, but a bit cool, so I'm going to add a bit of burnt umber just to warm it a bit. Probably even a bit lighter than that, really. Sort of more like that, I'd say. The edges here, around this bit here, are quite thin, so you can see a lot of, lot more through there. There's some darker colours from the trees behind, but I can do that, as I say, a bit later. So I'm just getting it roughly right, getting everything roughly in the right place. Now this area here has got it's a little sort of bush that is sitting in front of that tree with blossom on it, but I'm not going to paint it quite, I'm not going to block it in with that sort of lighter hue to it, so I want to do it green, and then I'll sit the blossom on the top when I come to do the oil. So that's that. Now we're ready to do the water. Okay, so the colours in the water here, sort of certainly near the waterline here, are very similar to what's above, but as we go further down and you can see the bed below, so what happens is it tends to get a lot warmer and a lot darker as you come nearer the bottom. So we'll do that now. Just try and sort of copy roughly what's above, not worry too much about it.
Waking up, feeling the taste of our fight last night. Breaking up, making a mess of an all good life. And now that you're gone, I'm thinking about to be over. And now that I'm free from all
Just mix in a little bit more of the burnt umber there, just to warm up that green. In fact, we can go a bit darker than that as we come down here a bit. Just by adding a little bit of ivory black, just to darken that green a little bit.
thinking of reasons to make it all be alright. And now that you're gone,
The trick is when blocking it in, is to be confident, I think, with the colours, and don't be worried to, you know, get those colours mixed together. Don't worry about being too precious about it, just mix them up and pop them on. If it's not right, as I say, don't worry about it. It can all be corrected. Okay, so you can just about see some of the reflection of the sky in here. Now that really is picking up a lot of that silt colour at the bottom of the river, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'm just going to put a nice dark grey reflection in there, maybe add a little bit of that burnt umber just to warm that up a bit. Okay, so we're certainly getting there now. There really is not a massive amount left to do, obviously just that wedge of cheese at the front there. Okay, so I've noticed in here you've got this sort of area of the bank where there's no real grass, so we'll make the most of that because that just gives you a nice variation in the colour. I'm probably going to add some flowers to this riverbank here as well, but that's not something we'll block in. We'll do that when we put the details in afterwards. So let's just get going on this riverbank here. It's quite light. It's a lot lighter than the rest of it, the rest of the picture I should say, and probably even more so than that, but I don't like to do it too light when I block it in.
Kaleidoscope vision, so much that I'm missing so bad. And this night, you're the one that I think about. You're the one that I think about. You're the one that I think about.
Okay, we've got a special guest in the studio today. This is Ruben. This is my youngest, Ruben, so he is going to finish off the blocking in for me. Right, sit on my lap, Rubes. Right, now what you're going to do, I'm going to dry that a little bit. You're going to do that and now paint it on that area there. Okay, so make sure all of that is covered in. That's it. Good. Do you want to mix a bit more paint? That's it. Put it in there again. Good. That's it. Good. That's it. That's it. Now put that. Fill in all the little spaces. Try not to do the brush that way. Try and brush down like that, okay? Because otherwise you're going to damage the brush. That's it. And these bits here. That's it. I think we've done it. What do you think? Yeah? Well done. You painted some of Daddy's picture.
Will I cry? Will I leave behind broken and crumbled signs, hiding all my roads to you? Uh-oh. And if I fight